Hello everybody and welcome back for some new VR news. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your one channel for everything VR related. Generally, I only do the news once a week, but we got some major announcements and I just couldn't stay away from you guys. Before we get into it, just a little bit of housekeeping. Guys, the channel is approaching 10,000 followers, so thank you so much for that. I love working on this channel and especially all the awesome people I've met along the way. Now, you guys have been asking me to add more gameplay to the channel, and I will once quarantine ends and life goes back to normal, and I'm gonna put a special little twist on it that I think you guys will love. Alright, let's get into the news. This video is gonna be a little bit quicker than normal. We're only going over 3 games and 2 new headsets. I'm going to start you off with a free Oculus Quest game that you can pick up on sidequest known as Cactus Cowboy. Now, in many ways, this game is a clone of Valve's flat screen title Portal. While it doesn't have the same graphical or comical appeal, if you ever wanted to experience what walking through a portal is like in VR, well, now's your chance. Now, I do have to mention, if you're looking for a more authentic Portal experience and you already own Portal 2, there is a community-made mod that you can download for free from Steam, which is a much truer Portal in VR experience. Now, our next title was just announced and we don't even have any gameplay footage yet, but this title is intriguing for multiple reasons. Now, the game is called The Mighty Eighth, and not only is it a reboot of a 20-year-old title, it's also a full studio reboot. The company Micropose, which used to deliver some of the most amazing simulation games, is getting the band back together and is delivering us a 10-person co-op World War II bomber simulator. So you and up to 9 of your friends will get to pilot truly authentic recreations of planes like the B-17 or the B-24. Now, I remember Micropose from back when I was a teenager. They produced top-notch products. Some of their simulations were a little bit too complex for my pre-adolescent brain, but they also produced titles like MechWarrior 3 that I just absolutely love. Now, times have changed and it definitely won't be the same studio reborn, but I do have high hopes for this title, especially since there's nothing remotely close to a 10-person co-op simulation game in VR. Okay, so next up, we have another game announcement where there's not too much information. The company that brought us Vader Immortal has announced Star Wars Tales from the Galaxies Edge. Now, this is again in conjunction with Oculus Studios, so we can most likely expect this to be an exclusive title. Now, the game is set during the latest Star Wars movies, falling between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Now, this does appear to be another story-driven experience, and will feature both new and classic Star Wars characters. Now, while I'm not a fan of the new entries into the Star Wars series, there is an amazing amount of potential in this licensed material. I'm hoping we get to jump into the cockpit of some Star Wars spaceships, or even some ground assault vehicles. Now, they're not giving us any hints on how the game will actually play, except for stating that there's multiple styles of gameplay and difficult settings to accommodate a wide variety of players. So, whatever that means. Alright guys, let's jump into that hardware news. So the first headset we are checking out is Mova. Now, this is from a company started by HTC's former CEO, who was in charge during their VR glory days. Now, the Mova is set up to be a competitor to the Oculus Quest, with 2 standout features. The first being 5G connectivity, and the second being an exclusive VR world known as Manova. At this moment in time, it's hard to see either of these being a true selling point, as there's currently no true benefit to the 5G connectivity, as it's rare to play VR outside of your home with your stable Wi-Fi connection, and Manova has some really big shoes to fill if it's going to compete with titles like Neos VR, VR Chat, and Facebook's upcoming Horizons. Now, what Manova does have that makes it appealing to me is its moderately higher specs compared to the Oculus Quest. It features a Snapdragon 845, a step up from the Quest's Snapdragon 835, and it has 6GB of RAM, which is 50% more than the Oculus Quest. Now, applications on the Oculus Quest only have access to about 2.5 gigs of RAM, and this is usually a major complaint from developers, which leads to really low quality in-game textures. The only problem is, Mova doesn't have Facebook's ecosystem, so I'm not expecting to see any titles ported to this headset. It also only comes with a single controller and is expected to use hand tracking, which is another concern because not many companies can handle inside-out tracking, especially since the Mova only comes equipped with 2 cameras. I hope I'm proven wrong, but it looks like this headset is destined to fail. Okay guys, so here is the big news. We got the specs for the HP Reverb G2. This was the highly anticipated Windows mixed reality headset, which was a collaboration between Microsoft, Valve, and HP. Their original promo promised no compromises, and unfortunately, it does compromise. Don't get me wrong though, I think this is actually a great new contender in the VR ring. If you want to avoid a Facebook product, and you are not upgrading from an OG Vive, this will most likely be the new headset I start recommending to people. That is, of course, if this product launches without any fatal flaws. But let's go through those specs and show where they come up just a little bit short of no compromises. Now, as expected, this headset does have some amazingly high resolution displays. They are 2160 by 2160 or 2K by 2K per eye, making them some of the highest resolution panels on a mainstream VR device. Unfortunately though, they are LCD panels, which is one of the major complaints for the Valve Index. Colors and black levels are just so much better on an OLED display. Now, the second compromise is a 90 Hz refresh rate. Now, this is completely understandable because at this resolution, I'm not expecting modern hardware to be able to run at 120 or 144 frames per second anyway. Now, what actually hurts me the most is the 114-degree field of view. The approximately 130-degree field of view on the Valve Index is honestly one of my favorite features, and I was really hoping it would be replicated with this headset. Now, this does use a new version of Microsoft's inside-out tracking, and if it is on par with the Oculus Rift, then it is more than adequate, but it's still a compromise compared to base station tracking. Now, it does have a manual IPD adjustment, but the range is a little bit smaller than the Valve Index, and it only goes between 60 and 68 millimeters. If you happen to be a Cyclops like me with a 58mm IPD, this might not be optimal for you. This range does, however, accommodate the majority of people. The rest of the headset is basically a Valve Index clone, including identical off-ear speakers, a similar head strap, and material. Valve also helped them redesign their lenses, which should remove the distortion seen in the original HP Reverb. The redesigned controllers are basically clones of the Oculus controllers. I'm completely okay with this. I enjoy standardized controller schemes, and if you're gonna copy from some of the best. Now, with this product, Windows Mixed Reality is a true contender in the VR space. At $599, this is a competitive product. Spec-wise, it beats out the HTC Cosmos, and it comes in at $100 cheaper. Windows Mixed Reality tracking was already better than the Vive Cosmos with only 2 cameras, so I'm not expecting their inside-out tracking to be a major issue. Okay guys, that was today's news. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys on next time.